Good night. We are the group number 3. We are gonna talking about of the comparative and superlative. This group is integrated by Andres Camilo, Mari Zuñiga, and my person Edwin Frias. We are gonna talking about of the comparative and the superlative. One of the most common things we do in every day is compare things. We every time are comparing restaurants, comparing candidates for a job, or the film to see at the cinema. So how do we make comparative and superlative in English? We use comparative and superlative to say how people or things are different. We use a comparative adjective to express how two people or things are different, and we use a superlative adjective to show how one person or thing is different to all the others of its kind. For example, Mike is taller than Jack. Other example, Mike is the tallest person in the family. Comparative adjective enable us to express the difference between two people or things. In order to say that someone or something has a superior quality, size, or characteristics, you need to use more. Instead, when you want to say that someone or thing has an inferior quality, size, or characteristic, you must use less. Let's gonna talk about more. The way we make a comparative with more depends on the length of the word. There are 3 different cases. Case number 1. More for the long adjective. If an adjective has 2 or more syllables, we add the word more in front to create the comparative form. For example, this hotel is more expensive than the last hotel we stayed at. Repeat, this hotel is more expensive than the last hotel we stayed at. Other example, reading is more interesting than watching television. Other example, the sea here is more beautiful than the sea in my country. More beautiful than. Case number 2, AR for short adjective. If an adjective has 1 syllable or 2 syllables with Y as the second syllable, we add AR to create the comparative form. For example, your house is bigger than mine. Your house is bigger than mine. The original word is big. In this comparative, we add the AR to create the comparative. In other example, we have other example here. Taking the bus is cheaper than taking the car. Other example, this bus is heavier than that one. The original word here is heavy, so for do the comparative form, we add AR and we say heavier. This box is heavier than that one. As you can see in the first example, it's an adjective end in a vowel and consonant. You need to double the final consonant, for example, bigger, farther, thinner. Case number 3, irregular comparative. As is often the case in English, there are some adjectives that are irregular and don't follow these rules. Here are the irregular comparative. Good is better, bad is worse, further in English from UK, farther than in English of USA. Fun is fun. For example, your cooking is better than my cooking. Other example, Arriving late is worse than arriving early. Their house is further from here than our house is another example. Other example, going out is more fun than staying at home.
Using that, when you refer to the two people, then you are comparing, you need to use than. For example, living in the city is better than living in the country. But if it's clear what you're referring to, it's also possible to make a comparison without repeating one of the kind. Living in the city is more expensive. Let's. We use let's to say that someone or sometime as an inferior quality, size, or characters. It's easy to use because you simply put let's in front of any adjective. For example, walking is less tiring than running. Australia is less popular than China. Okay. Hamburgers are less healthy than vegetal. Superlative. We use superlative to compare one person or thing to several others. For example, Paris is the most beautiful city I have ever seen. The most. Similarly to comparative, we use the most in different ways according to the length of the adjective. 1. The most for long adjective. If an adjective has two or more syllables, we add the most in front to create the superlative from. For example, she is the most determined candidate we have seen today. 2. It's for short adjective. If an adjective has one syllable or two syllables with J as the second syllable. For example, it is the shortest route to the stadium. Gracias.
Irregular superlative. En some adjectives are irregular form, comparative are also irregular form, superlative form. Good big, bad word, far footing in English, Ferrer and in English, fun, are some in simply is el back place to what yet to once. Yesterday, platforming what is world ever. Alaska in less 40 days extinct from Florida. That's what are most fun, even and unlocked team. Hell lead, with the lead don't stay no may know. Also measuring and inferior qualities, some characteristic comparative. Tone and front of each triple in flight put and lead in front any adjective form and sample. Shannon floor free is lead favorite tipping of word. El lead is good tense in English el present simple. El lead active person canon is very light. As es Antonary white in compare couple and in train in English we swing. As adjective as wet is found to die. As swing are on same for sample. I am Tan's brother, my rob example read. Is book is tan a book a take on it. A tie or the book is no say sound. Are yo es un angry is I am and Bonguri in let some white. Using comparative. Andan as are some example of art of legs for with legs some objective nice. My neck nigga bro are nice lab el of only. The premium neck bro ware legs nice. The berry in nesting neighbor lab. Meter is and next meter berry. Changing. never hop is more shiny child. Lat hop head hat world rat leg shiny is head most shiny hop ever I. Light hop wing as shiny as long.